Yeah, we're a minute early. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thank you very much. Sound check is good. All right. What do we got? They're hanging around the flat line. All right. The spiders are down a nickel. So there's nothing going on. Item number one. Item number two. 546 is your pivot. Above 546 brings 547.15 and potentially higher, but let's start with one thing at a time. All right. 546 is also overhead resistance. As you could see, it was yesterday, late in the day. You could also see symmetry on this 30-minute chart, which is one of the reasons I have it up there, from yesterday. You have a breakup candle. They tested the low area, happened to be today's number, give or take, but notwithstanding. They ate time off the clock, and then they had a like move in the other direction, and you have market symmetry here. So just, by the way, 544.75 to 543.95 is a buy zone for a bounce back in the other direction this morning if they do it sooner than later. Very simple. If they get below that, there's trouble in paradise, and it's a different type of tape, and it opens the door for lower stuff. Doesn't mean they have to get down at 542.30, but that's what happens if they start closing candles below 543.95. That begins to be the discussion / thought process. All right. Pretty much all we have with the spiders right now. Here's the IWM, so you have those numbers, and then we'll go over the stocks on the move. They're at 269, 201 is a number, and then 201.75, and higher if I have other numbers in between here. You look at the hourly chart and say, hey, look, so far they've put in higher lows. So is this trying to put in another bottoming situation here without breaking the lows? Another rally attempt? It's possible. Sure is possible. Apple resistance, just by looking at Apple, I would have to say 215, but I didn't even bring up the chart yet. If they get above 215, then they could give you 217.50 to 75. Okay, that's also resistance. Tesla pullback? Not really. 30 cents. Let me see. Stocks on the move. We have IP. I don't think any of these were close. They traded away or whatever. IP is 41. Yeah, it's not too close. 39.42. We got MU, but that's not near. They'd have to drop for me to get it. I mean, they were down here yesterday, but that was yesterday after earnings. Let's see where they got to. Yeah, look at that. So we'll see. CVS below the first number. Oh, there's a lot of numbers on here. Oh, let me clean this one up. All right. Now that's cleaned up. 5707 is a number in CVS. Go back to the Qs for a second. Yeah, I know, Frank. That's why there's not on the board. Multi-year lows. Where's the next support? I don't have it. I looked at it. That's the reason it's not there. Moderna. It's the next number I had. I'll have to look deeper into that in a little while. We got an opening bell in 15 seconds. And they're off. Armand, looking at NVIDIA. These aren't fresh. I didn't do this morning. This is yesterday. The only thing I have is up above and below, and they're in the middle. That's really it. Spider's trying to push a little bit. Spider's up 5 cents. ES down 2 points. SPX flat, down 1 point. There's nothing going on yet. Max wants to look at GC, trend line. The numbers are still good from yesterday, up there. Let's go back over to IWM. We have SMH down 50 cents. IWM's up a little bit, flattish, about to be flat. 199.60 down to 199.15 is support for IWM. Amazon 195. They got to 196, but gee, I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to tell you. What's a sell target at new highs? 200, 197.50, 198, 199. I wish I had the answer, Armand. I just don't. You're gonna have to pick numbers. It's a ride it until she throws you off situation, and you can use yesterday's close as like a place. You can use 191.65 or 199.50 as a place to say, I just don't want to be long anymore. I would use this personally. I would use this high, 191.70. I would say I'm not going to be long below 199.70. That's what I would say. And I would try and ride it up to 200 or more. CVS came close. Sure did. Give or take. What was the low? 22 against 7. Yeah. Here comes 546, the pivot. If they spike yesterday's high, let's just call it midpoint phenomenon. I'll just leave that. Let's see if they can get above the pivot. 546 is important. Yeah, what I was going to say, Mark B, was the midpoint, let's call it 546 up to 547.15. For an aggressive trader, could begin to short it up there. I don't know if you want to short the pivot. That's up to you. The pivot is the pivot. But I might be willing to short it before 547.15 using 547.15 as another number also. That's what I was thinking. All right, let's see if they can push up a little bit. Give an opportunity. An aggressive trader could start them up on the short side at 546.50, 546.60, up to 547.15. They start pushing above 547.15 and it's a different kind of tape. Close. Meta. Oh my. Yeah, that was bullish. Get above this high and where do they go? Next place. Nice move for Meta. ALB. Let's see it, Tom. You got no man's land. I couldn't do anything there. It's too high risk. First place is 94 and a quarter. 94, 94 and a quarter, and then you have the gap down here. MU is the move that just. Oh, nice, Armand. Yeah, just keep doing it. All right, spiders pushing up. What's the high? 35. Yeah, I'd say 50 to 40, 50 to 547.15 is a zone. There it goes. Okay. Zone where they should run out of steam up here. All right, just looking for a scalp with potential. If they go up to 547.15, that's in the cards. That's okay. There's your pullback. Okay, just spike 50 a little bit, but there's your pullback. You're looking for a scalp with potential. We'll get to some of these other questions, comments, complaints in a moment. I just got to get this trade going. There is, first they have to get below 546.50 and then they go back to test 546 to pivot. That's the concept. Could take a few minutes, but that's the concept. Okay. All right, let's see. Donnell got 1,800 bucks this morning in Google. Well done. Meta we talked about. First Solar. Let's see. Yep. They're just testing yesterday's low. That's just the next thing I have from a support perspective. It's trend line. Breakout area, right? That's where they're coming back to retest, isn't it? You think? I do. Doesn't mean it has to happen today, but that's where they're headed. LRCX. Target. They got to get above this stuff up here and they'll work on 1,090 to 1,095, 1,093 up there. But they have to get above 1,082. 900 bucks on the spider for Robert. Well done. No, nice job, Armand. Well done. Yeah, good way to maneuver around that stuff. Yeah, it's not easy because you don't know what's going to happen. It's a slow tape again. The target is 546 or more, but that's a target. DS never came back down. I'm just looking around the horn here. Remember, they're still in the resistance zone. That doesn't make the trade wrong. It makes them still in the resistance zone. You take it at face value. Yeah, trainers are down 30 points. IWM's up 0.5% though. SMH is up 1/3%. So there's bullishness out there. For now, forget the transports. Nice job, Ref. 120.75 Moderna. Nice little pop. They gave you the deal. Nice job. HIMS? I don't know. Hold on. Need more real estate. It's there. That's my number. 1790 today. In HIMS. That was for Oleg. Is there a buy on WBA? No, we talked about that, Glenn. It's just a shit show. There's no support down there. You see this? The only thing you have is 10 bucks. but whether they go to 982, 965, or 1007 or 1020, I have no idea. But the only thing you have is $10. There's nothing down here. There's nothing here. They're below this pivot. There's nothing here. $10. Spider's coming down again. Again, it's just time. It just takes time. They didn't do anything wrong. Your target is 546 or lower. You have to be taking a profit in front of 546. That's just the way it works. Take a look at Nike. Nike resistance, just the highs from yesterday, and then the gap, and then the trend line. 94.5, 94.35 to a half. That's resistance, and then you have the gap up here at, there you go. I got out in front of the pivot. I'm not out. I just took a profit. I have a trailer, and that's a nice trade. There you go. How you doing? See how they're fighting the pivot? That's another profit. I have more. This is turning into a nice trade. Trader short, take the ride. There you go. How you doing? How good is this? Take the ride. 544.75, or call it 545 for argument's sake. Even here, this is going to be somewhere between here and 544.75 is going to be support. They're going to stop going down for a little while when they get there. That's what support is. So it could be another exit opportunity. This is called a reversal. This is nice. I'll get some profit numbers in a minute. This is a good trade. I want to hear them, believe me. 46 is the bull case. So you're not going to really want to be short if they start closing candles back above 546. That's my opinion. But the rest is trader's choice. And you just see, it doesn't cost you anything to hold it. You just see if they give it to you. You don't know. You don't know. Just because what I said doesn't mean sell it right now. It's just what I said is what I said. If they start staying back above 546, that's the bull case. So that it could mean the trade is over. You should have gotten a nice profit out of it anyway. All right, we had a swing trade trigger as well. Those of you may be a little unsure of why that one triggered. It didn't trigger yesterday, it triggered today, and it was there on purpose. It's a good place. If they get down to 544.75 to 543.95 on the flip side, that is a support zone, and I would be expecting a bounce back in the other direction. Holding a trailer beyond that is up to you. I will not be. I think they will bounce from in there, and I think it is a long trade opportunity if they do it sooner than later. So to answer that question that came in from, they're scrolling away here. I'm getting to some questions. Sneer. And anybody else wondering. So there's your answer. Moderna. 1100 on Moderna for Robert. It came back down. That's great. Take the money and run. Robert L. Anthony got 1100 bucks on SOXL, which is what, inverse socks? Or you were short? I don't know what you did. Whatever you did, good job. 1500, one trailer left in the short spider for Scott S. Well done. Yeah, let's get some profit numbers while things are a little quieted down here. Just bear with me. Don't do anything yet. Hold on, hold on. I got to look away for a minute. I don't want it to scroll away. Don't do anything. If you already did it, I'm going to ask you to do it again. Hold on. Again, back above 546 on candle closes is the bull case. Peekaboo is not, but they're working on it. It's the pivot, so they're going to fight it. All right, now let's get some profit numbers. We got 660 with a trailer for Art, 500 for Scott H. Max wants to look at NVIDIA. Let me take a time out here. Yeah, they'd have to make a new low for me, 121.95. I could raise this today, 122.25. Okay, but that's NVIDIA. Is 547.15 a play against Sam? I think it would be, yes. Sneer. 1,340, William P, well done. 82.50 for Mark B, MES, it all adds up. Yes, it does. 600 for Damien. 262.50 single contract for Michael E. 1053 in the pocket for John W. 250 for James O. 290 for Kamal. A lot of these have trailers on them still. $1,000 plus trailer for Jeff G. Ish and out for Mitch S. 3150. 2 trailers left for Michael W. There they go. See, back above 546. She's no good. 800 for Max. 1100 on a Q short. Base hit for Kenny W. 377 for Joseph. 725 for Lee. 150 for Ken. 1100 for Sean. 350. Switch to long holding for Chad. Well done. 3100 for Oleg. 400 for John R. I mean, this is just a bonanza, right? Quick morning trade, same routine every day. There's a small bucket full of trades. This was one of them. Morning trade, see you later. The rest, that's the easy money was made. Okay. 250 for Hussein. Mara. Let's take a look at Mara. Oops. Mara, basically, you're towards these highs, and then you're going to run into resistance at 2050 to 21. That's where you are in Mara. That's a target above these highs and resistance. For John R, I might have said that. 1200 for Alex F, 250 for Hussein. I already got all those. I think I got those. That's fantastic. Andy, let's take a look at COP. 113 still. It's still good. Below this low is no good, but 113 is still good from the other day. Yeah, Mark B says, nice job, room. That was just a laundry list of traders in that short trade. That was fantastic. 643 for Dirk. You're welcome, Andy. That's awesome. This is just, again, this is what you signed up for. It's the morning trade. I wait all morning for this. The minute I spot it, whether it's a long or short, I don't care. Whichever one they want to do. You'll notice almost every day they go somewhere and they react. And that constitutes our morning trade. Whether it's to a pivot, from a pivot, in this case, it was back to a pivot as a target or below, and that was fantastic. That was picture, it was just stupid simple. You might not realize it, but it was. They have to come back to the pivot. Awesome. Be back in a minute. Let's see. Frank T, you're welcome. That's what you're here for. Tesla, let's see, Luis. Let's just get our faculties here. Yeah, 201.35 is my next target for Tesla. Above this trend line, let's see what that looks like now. That's good. That's inverse head and shoulder-ish for sure. Yeah, they closed above this yesterday. That's bullish. Take it at face value. IWM, 15-minute. Check out the back-to-back candles on a 15-minute chart. Yeah. You know what, Mark B, not sure about 28. I would like 30 much better. And the shorter the time frame, the longer the count, less important. Write that down. Not for me. But I see what you're looking at. Never know. SMCI. It is, but I'm just saying the longer, on the shorter time frames, the longer you go, you really have to divert to the longer time frames, the hourly, half hour, 2 hour, something like that. That's just my opinion. See how the pivot is important? Again, once back above, it's support. Once below, it'll become resistance again if they get below. Let's see, what were we looking at? SMCI, trend line. I'm not so sure about this trend line anymore. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think I did the same thing yesterday, but I'm not so sure about it anymore from an importance standpoint. If they can push above or push up, they're going to start working on this breakdown candle high up here at 875 to just call it 882, something like that. Get above this high, watch. Get above this high, which they already tried and they got rejected. But if they can push above, then they start working on this area up here, 875 to 880 something. That would become targetish. Okay, SMCI. Back below 842, no good. You're welcome, Jack. See this? Fighting 546. All right, they're just floating around. Market's quieting down, ing in italics, quieting down. She had a little bit of a morning rush. And for the most part, the morning rush is over. Sometimes it lasts longer, sometimes not. It doesn't mean the market's not going to move. It's just the easy money was made. Carvana. That's why you want to be here for the morning trade. We get it most of the days. Most of the day. Not every day. Most of the days. So where's Carvana going? Yeah. This is an uptrend. I know we talked about this many times. Yeah, I have to do some work. I need more real estate. Hold on, doing it. Almost got there. Hold on, I'm getting the next number up. Okay. 134.75, 136.85. That's the target near-term resistance on Carvana. Spiders just fluttering around. Yeah, 547.15 is the next important number I have. No change to that. So that gets activated above the high. 546.84. Let's take a look. 483.80. Next target, overhead resistance. Andre, GC, we looked at that earlier. Let's take another look. Trend line, talked about that. And then above the trend line, 23.47. Actually, it's a little bit lower today. Maybe a spike above 23.45. That's a target though. SPG, nice job. Oleg's playing the number from there go the spiders. Above the high equals 547.15. Now, you want to short that is trader's choice at this point. You already got a short trade this morning. Are they going to float up? They're going to find a high and pull back. It's overhead resistance, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that you already had a short trade. And there is the concept of the market gods know you're taking another bite at the apple. It's a different apple, but in an uptrend, around the highs, after the morning rush, the short trades do get harder. Just know that. It's still trader's choice. Doesn't change the number, just changes what you might want to do. About to take the luster off of it anyway. Sneer wants to know if Carvana can be shorted up there. If they got up there reasonably soon, I would say yes. If they're up there at 2:30 this afternoon, I would say no dice because you don't have any time on the clock. And if they haven't gone down by 2:30 in the afternoon, what's going to make them go down into the end of the day? So I wouldn't do that. Sooner than later, yeah. All right, so 547.15 is off the table now. They got to 546.96. Transports are stuck at about $50 lower. No big deal there. Everything else is up. Not so much anymore. SMH is flattish. Financials are down a little bit, but not much. Let's take a look, Sneer. No, the luster's not off for the Q number. If they went up to 483.80, it's still overhead resistance. Let's say up a buck. You got to give it a buck. I'm just looking around the horn, see if anything else is coming into something. I have a candidate or two. I'm working on it. See how this is now not so easy as the first trade of the day. Not that there's a trade right here. I'm just saying, hey, just back and forth. It's not the same. 546 is still the pivot. Let's see. Let's check it out, Oleg. Yep. They just have to they have to clear this. They have to clear 223.50. And that starts to get them to this gap at 226 and then into no man's land up to 232 to 235. Your ultimate, can't say that they're definitely going to get there, but you're right in here. That's your target if you could take the ride if they're going to do it. Let's just say this gap, 235. That is absolutely target-ish, even though it's far away right now. Because if they can clear this, that'll be the target. Now watch this. 235, watch this. 235 is a 50% retracement, a little bit more, right? 235.63. See what I'm saying? So that's, yeah, that's just a lot of things point to if they clear this stuff, they'll fill this gap and they'll work to the 50% retracement. That's just the way it works. High or low, this is the setup. It's no guarantee it gets there, but that's the setup. ZW getting near the trend line, what'd I tell you? They're going back to the trend line. There's just no doubt in my mind. There was never a doubt in my mind. And if they recapture it with a big, huge tail on the weekly chart, guess what? How you doing? High or low? Where have you heard this before? Higher low, test the breakup candle low, close the week above it. If they do by tomorrow, back above the trend line, and that is a absolute shakeout operation. Run some tests of stuff and get out of there. That's bullish. I gave you everything I know, Stephen, just now, Stephen T. That's the whole synopsis. I would have been all over this, but they never got there. 5.420, but they didn't get there. Close. Expedia, yeah, that was yesterday. Just first time, best time. They'd have to make a new low for me. They'd have to make a new low. They'd have to be all the way down at 123 or lower for me to be interested in this. Sticky note, people, I have it on my other chart. It's 103.25. That's a target and overhead resistance. 103.25, 35, 30, 28, 32, right there. Big grain report tomorrow from Mike H. Comes out once a year. Acreage report. Moves the commodities. Okay, thank you. Let's see. We'll see tomorrow. What time does that come out, Mike? 12 o'clock. All right. Thank you. Remember that. Do I see CRM breaking out? Yeah, I do see it breaking out because that's what's happening. Yes. Once they clear 246.75 and stick, then it's in no man's land and they'll work up here at some point. They're climbing the big time breakdown candle. 266 technically is really the next target. That doesn't guarantee they get there, but this is what they're doing. And the gap is all the way up here. It's a big space. They could certainly go anywhere, find a high, pull back to this breakout area, and that would be a make it or break it for CRM. So keep that in mind. Very hard to hop on here because they will pull back. From where, you don't know. But it's very hard to buy this. You can't chase it. You have to wait for a pullback. They're not going to go up all day. You really want them to come back and test this. I don't know that they'll do that today, but this is the setup. They're going to suck everybody in. This is the way it works. They're going to suck everybody in. Look, let me just explain it this way and it'll make total sense. They're going to suck everybody in chasing it. Look, they're going to go fill the gap. And then they don't, and they come up to, let's just say 255, 257, 258. After they've sucked everybody in, then they pull back to the breakout area or close to it. They shake them out, and then they go. And in the process, put in another higher low. Just the way it works. So you have to be patient. NG, they'd have to break this low. They'd have to be down at 20. I have it already. Break at 260 for me. They'd have to be lower than all these lows. They could put in a higher low here, but that's not a trade for me. Okay. Next week. If they do it Tuesday, Wednesday, that would be best. Ed says is 547.15 still a short? No, I already said they took the luster off of it. Plus, you're getting late in the morning already for a short, even though it's only an hour into the day. The morning rush is over. It's bullish. There's nothing bearish out here for the most part. There's nothing too bullish also. It's not terribly bullish, but variable risk and short the market going into lunchtime. So let's say they were up there half hour from now, 11 o'clock. You want to do that? I don't. Yeah, that's interesting, Mark, isn't it? Funny how that works? Has to be. By the way, I just brought it up. I did see that this morning. I did look at that. I looked at it on the actual week contract. You're looking at the daily chart. Yeah, I did see that. It's good to be, many of you, probably not everybody, but many of you have the short trade in your pocket. And it's really the place to be. Call it the catbird seat. When you're an hour into the day, you've got a whopper, a double, a triple, a whopper junior, whatever it is in your pocket, even a base hit. And you say, well, in order for me to take another trade, they got to do really what I want. Not looking to be in a trade, but I'm looking at the market and let the market dictate if I should be in a trade. Difference. Think about that one. Write it down. not looking to be in a trade, but looking at the market and let the market determine if I should be in a trade. And what does that look like right now? If they got down to 544.75, even 545, I'd take that opportunity on. Not to say they will be anytime soon or will be at all today. I'm just saying that's one of the things. So they'd have to do something unique from where they are right now for me to get into a trade. And that's okay. That's the attitude you have to have when you have a profit in your pocket for sure. All right, I'm back. I just had to update some stuff. Let me get to some questions, comments, complaints. Can we look at PayPal? Sure. Zach wants to look at PayPal, 57.55. If you were here yesterday, you saw that number. We talked about it yesterday. And the next one is 56. So unfortunately, it was already there, but that was the place. 58.75 is a target. Oops. If they can get above this high. Okay. Sorry about that, Zach. I wish we had it earlier. That was the place. We had it a couple of times. We looked at it over the last few days as it was coming down. Long term, no. Long term, I would have to be down at, I have it on my other chart, 53, 52.75. Okay. That would be a reasonable longer term swing situation for me. Let's see what else we have. Yes, Jory. If they somehow make a trip down to 544.75 into this zone, less than $1, 80-cent zone, I am interested in a bounce back in the other direction, and the answer is yes. Kenny says, Kenny W wants to talk about assumptions. That's a red flag right there, but we'll read the rest. Tech is seasonably bullish in the month of July. Do you know the percentage? Do you have statistics on that, Kenny? I'm sure you do, and that's fine. I just want to know them. And rarely, if maybe ever, has the market made a significant all-time high in June. Okay. I'm not sure what we could do with that information, but we can talk about it. So it doesn't matter when the market historically has ever made all-time high. I'm not looking for an all-time high right now. Let's go back a step or two. If the market's going to put in a high, whether it's an all-time high, whether it's a high for a few weeks, whether it's a high for a few days, I don't care. It doesn't matter. If the market's going to put in a high, it doesn't matter what month she normally does or doesn't or never does, or I don't even care about that, because it's just going to happen when it's going to happen. And we can identify it when it happens by the signs or signals of a trend change using all the things that we talk about all the time. So that's item number one. So I'm not worried about it until I see it. Seasonality, that plays in at times, but that doesn't tell you anything. For example, if you said to me 68% of the time the market finishes bullish in whatever month because, or tech finishes bullish in July or something like that, that's fine. What about the 32%? How do you know this time's not going to be one of the 32%? And therein lies the reason I can't use that stuff, because it's an average. And we talked about it yesterday. I don't know if you were here, but I'm going to give the same example yesterday, or a similar one. I can't repeat it exactly. But when you have averages, okay, it's two teams that are compatible, but lopsided, compatible in record for this year. Take baseball, okay? Two teams in the World Series the other day. One in the College World Series. One team may have been, on paper, the better team. Statistically, better ERA, more runs produced, less errors, runners on base, all that kind of stuff. Okay, on paper, they may have been better. And in a series of 10, they probably win 6 or 7. But it's baseball or anything else. Any given day, anything can happen. And so any team can win on that day. And therefore, when you have 32% of the time that something doesn't happen and 68% that does, or whatever numbers there are, you have to take that in the present time, like right now, this time around, this year, this month, and you say, I know about that information, but that doesn't tell me anything's going to happen, because it could, I don't know whether it's going to be the 68% this month or the 32%, and therefore I'm just going to use the stuff on the charts that I use every day. And that's how I whittle that down. I don't know if that helps you, Kenny, but that's the best answer I can give you on that. Let me see, Gary. I didn't see it. I missed it. Let's go to MU. Aha. All right. So Gary played the spike the low. Is that right? Is that what it was? Yeah, of course you did. Where have you learned that before? Where have you heard that before? watching MU, he took the spike of the low and the rip it back up in the other direction trade and says probably done for the day or week. Well done, Gary. They do the same stuff over and over. All charts act and react the same way, not every single time, but the large majority of the time. As I say this, I have my eyes closed because it's the same comment. I don't have to look at anything. It's the same commentary every time because it's true. It's factual information. Most of the time, the market just repeats the same shit from different places, but they do the same stuff over and over again. Yeah. And Glenn says, and pitchers get hot. A pitcher that had a 7-5 record, had a decent season, but lost a couple of tough games maybe. All of a sudden, he has the game of his life and he shuts down one of the best hitting teams in the country. That happens. Of course it happens. And that's why any day, and that's, I go back to, just because the statistics say one thing, it doesn't mean anything. It's just an average. Yeah, that was great, Gary. That was well done. You just watch this stuff and you say, look, I've seen this 1,000 times already, 5,000 times already, 300 times. Eventually, I'm going to start playing it. Well, just go into my list here. Just got to catch up. I can't watch everything in the morning. That's why the only way I could do this is automated with the swings. Yep. Yeah, so another swing. 2 triggers today. All right, get back to some questions. How much time between the low and the spike? Joseph's asking, can you please explain spike to low? How much time between the low and the spike? I'm not sure I understand the question. Let's go back to micro. So there is no time. So here's the way, and if you're new, Joseph, that's great. And I'm happy to answer the questions. And if you're not new, that's great. I'm happy to answer the questions. There's no set time that it takes for this to happen. And the way I look at it is, if I have a number below the spike to low, or below the current low, and today in Micron, my number would have been down here at 130.95. It's too far away. So I wouldn't have done this. But what we do know is, because I'm eliminating variable risk by saying, hey, if I don't have a number close enough, then I'm not going to take the trade. Although I do have the awareness that many times they will spike a prior low and fight it and rip it back up in the other direction for a couple of reasons. They're running a test of another important place. And how do I know that? Or an important place. How do I know that? Because the market stopped here today. So I don't need to know anything else than the market stopped there today, early in the morning, right at the open. Therefore, whether it was one of my numbers or not, I don't care. The market told me already that place is important. It doesn't matter what the reason is. You don't have to know a reason. You just have to know that factual information, that if the market traded down there this morning and found support and got out of there right away, that tells you that place was important, whether I knew about it or not. So now we have, if they come back to retest it, they're retesting an important place. Traders will have, who are long, will have a stop below that low. That's called liquidity in the market. So there's one theory that says, hey, look, if that's the case, then the algorithms out there are going to drive price to spike the low. If they get close, pick up those stop orders and rip it back up in the other direction. Now, whether that technically happens in reality or not, I don't care. I know that they spike the low and they rip it back. So when I say variable risk, I'm saying I'm not going to do the trade, take the trade, unless I have a number close by, and therein lies the spike the low and rip it back up in the other direction, when there's a number that I have for me below the current low. I love those trades. It's one of my favorite trades. And hopefully that answers the question, Joseph. CW, I'm going to call you today. Isn't this a game of probabilities regardless of your method? If 75% of the time the market is bullish on a certain month, how is taking a bullish trade on the market different from taking a trade expecting a reaction from one of your numbers? Either way, most times it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Again, you're back to the averages. And in the heat of the moment, on any particular day, any particular hour, you can't say that. Unless you just want to wait for the market to bounce. It could take a week or two, take a day or two. Then you could say that. but we're in the trading business. Back to the pivot. This is just mush now. There's no easy thing to do here. It's pretty random, Mark. I'm not sure I could look at it that deep. I just read your post on the opening stuff. But nevertheless, the end result, your conclusion is fine. Okay, good, Joseph. I'm glad I was able to explain that away. Not explain it away, explain it. Well, Gary, part of what I said is exactly what you thought, and I believe in that about the liquidity down there. I just like to have a number down there, but that's my way of eliminating variable risk and just trying to eliminate as many things as that could make the trade go south. And the more things I can eliminate, the more probabilities are in my favor. And yes, by the way, the market is based on probabilities. Everything we do is based on probabilities. Back to CW, everything we do is based on probabilities. Not everything works 100% of the time. Not everything fails 100% of the time. It's just the way it is. Yes, CW, it is the time frames, right? Because it's what your time frame point of reference is. If you're doing an analysis on a 15-minute chart, a 30-minute chart, a 10-minute chart, 5-minute chart, and all that stuff for what's happening right now, then you're going to be more correct in what you say, or sorry, I wouldn't even say that, because still, just because something shows up on a 10-minute chart, if the longer time frame is telling you something different, let's go back. Let's finish this conversation, or let's continue this conversation. Let's go back to the 2-hour chart. So forget today, but remember from the video last night, if you watched it, I've been saying this is bearish until they break the chain. Trying to break the chain today, but it's bearish until they break the chain. So knowing that on an hourly chart, 2-hour chart, all this stuff, and then the daily chart could be the same thing, but it's above all the moving averages, so you have conflicting things. This is bearish, even if they come down to complete this wedge pattern into the moving average or somewhere near there, it still doesn't change the bullishness of the uptrend on a daily chart and weekly chart. So that's what I was discussing last night. But when you look at the hourly chart, you say, this is bearish. Okay, so until this either breaks the chain or plays out, you got to go with what this is doing at the time. And this could take a while. This could take days more to complete, if it's going to complete, or break the chain today, and then you're back to new highs or around the highs. So it just depends. It's just no easy answer to that stuff, CW. Of course, Raf. Market could be up right now. It doesn't mean there aren't short opportunities. Absolutely. We just took one in an uptrend. And where did we take it? Just at the place, give or take, that they could. I'm going back to the trade this morning, that they could break the chain. So what do I always say? Some of the best trades are taken at the most critical spots, because it's going to change the complexion, characteristics of the tape. So if they break the chain, it's going to take that bearishness that we just talked about on the 2-hour, 1 hour, all this stuff, even up to the daily. It's going to take it off the table for a while. If they break the chain on the upside, break the bearish pattern. So where did we take a trade? Right at that place, just about. Right? Pretty cool. See how it all comes together? That light bulbs just went on, ding, ding. Oh yeah, now that makes sense why that was there. Sure it does. Shalom wants to take a look at Apple. Let's take a look. We haven't even looked at that today. Sorry. Trying to get a handle on where they're headed. Just give me a second. Anytime soon. They should bounce it there. Is that 2-hour head and shoulders? I'm sorry, Mark, on what? Spiders? Apple? No, because you haven't triggered anything. I see what you're looking at. You're looking at this. It's really this. You're looking at this, right? Yeah. It's not great, but it's probably valid from a textbook perspective. And look what they're doing. They're riding the trend line. So get above the trend line and stay above. They would still be above one of my numbers, and that breaks the chain. So yeah, I think you can use that as an added tool in the toolbox. Sure. Courtney wants to look at 3M sticky note people. We did. We said 103.25 was a target, and they got there. So we looked at it down here somewhere. And above here, it's 104 to 105. Split the difference. They're still fighting 546. We knew about 546 3 hours ago, and here they are. Now, they haven't traded around there all day, but they keep coming back to it, which tells you that the pivot was right. Scott, I'll take a look. Oh, Gary, congratulations there. Gary's expecting his 4th grandchild. Daughter's in labor right now. What are you doing here? Maybe she doesn't live local, or maybe you're just waiting. Maybe they don't want you there. Either way, congratulations. Oh, you have to watch the brother. Okay. Oh, excellent. Excellent. See, you're providing a helping hand. Excellent. Sneer shorted 3M there. When I say target, that's not a short, right? If I say short, it's a short. But if I say target, that's a target. I wouldn't be shorting late morning in an uptrend like this. But that's me. You want to short a number? That's up to you. Wasn't a trade for me. It was just a target. In other words, they have to get there. And they're going to do it most of the time. That's a target. Now, if they react there, that could happen most of the times, but I'd be more apt to buy a target on the downside in an uptrend and a quiet tape in the summer doldrums than I am to short it. But it's working, so who am I to say? I missed something, paying for the college fund. There might have been a comment before that I missed. For the grandkids, you mean? Yeah. Yeah, but actually a bunch of you were saying that Mark's making money for the grandkids. Gary. Do I see MU a good swing trade, Oleg says? Lower. I like that zone. We'll leave it at that. It might show up on a swing trade somewhere in there. Maybe not at these exact numbers today, but it might show up there tomorrow or next week. Let's check on the Qs. Yeah, 479.60 is a support number. It is. 546 is the pivot. I'll be right back. 544.75 down to 543.95 is an opportunity if they want to run down. Anywhere in there is a zone of support. Could be the front number, could be the bottom number, could be the midpoint phenomenon, anywhere in there. It's pretty quiet. And again, I'm not going to do anything unless they get down to that zone right now or soon. W is saying, so you wouldn't recommend buying 543.95 later in the day. It's not about what I recommend. It's about how this works. So let's go through a couple of things. And it's a good question. So let's get some learning done here on how this works in terms of when, timing. So let's say they came down there anytime soon. Okay, I have plenty of time left on the clock. They're either going to bounce it there, they're not. If they're not, they're going to do something else and I can maneuver around it. I have plenty of time. But let's say that it happens at 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon. All right, let's say they don't do it now, but they're down there at 2:30, 2:45. They may bounce it there and it may be a great trade, but if they stay down there and they start hovering around 243.95, 244, and they hover there for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, now you have a half hour left in the day, 15 minutes left in the day, whatever it is, you have to make a decision now. You want to hold it overnight? That wasn't the point of the trade. Or do you have to cut a potential loser because you ran out of time on the clock? So this is why I say, one of the reasons I say it's a morning business. The second reason I say it's a morning business minus time left on the clock is because it's a different market in the morning and the afternoon. In my opinion, there are two markets. One that includes the morning rush and up to about 11, 11:30. You could see now that it's a different market than it was an hour ago, hour and a half ago. And it's slower. There's no clear direction. Maybe there is at present time. Maybe they're headed for 544.75, but all this chopping around up here is a different market than heading somewhere and having a crisp reaction from that place. That's the morning trade. In the afternoon, you get more of what's going on now. It's just back and forth, limited moves a lot of the time. Sure, they can move, but they don't get to numbers. It's a different market in the afternoon. All of a sudden, at the end of the day, they'll get to a number. They did that yesterday. Okay, and so different type of market, limited time left on the clock, and therein lies the reasons why I like the morning business. Sometimes they'll do the morning trade in the afternoon, and a lot of us just leave it alone. Some of us take it, and a lot of us leave it alone because having that number has to be in the morning after you've seen this for a long time and you've run your own numbers and say, what are my results in the morning versus the afternoon? And I can almost guarantee you they're better in the morning. And that's the reason. So it's not that the number changes later in the day, CW, it's that the opportunity changes because of the different market and time of day. And it's variable risk. You're adding variable risk in the afternoon because of those things. Hopefully that makes some sense. What I'm doing is trying to train you all what works best and over time eliminate the things that are variable risk in my mind. And what it does is it eliminates trades that have a higher probability of being incorrect because of whatever the reason is that I given on that variable risk piece of information. And then it's narrowing down, A, the number of trades we take, but we're increasing the probabilities because the trades we're taking have very limited variable risk if you play by the rules as I teach them. And that's my philosophy. Alex asks a follow-up question, which is a great question. Until what time of day do you usually buy support? For me, I really don't trade in the afternoon for all the reasons I've discussed 100 times. But if you want to, I would say you have to pick a number. And the number in my mind is 2.5 hours. If I don't have 2.5 hours left, I'm probably not going to take the trade. If you want to say an hour and you'll take that ride and you take that gamble, that's an individual trader thing. So you have to take what I say. I like the morning business. You say, I'm okay with a trade at noon or 1 o'clock. I don't care. And that's fine. You maneuver around what I say and you do what you're comfortable doing. You have to pick a number. I would say anything less than an hour is the bare minimum. An hour, bare minimum. And I wouldn't even do it. That's just me. But I've been doing this a long time and I'm not looking for a trade at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you got to understand where I'm coming from. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not doing anything as it relates to the market. I'm mentally preparing for the video and I'm really never in a trade at that point. Once in a blue moon. How many days a year do you get a blue moon? Yeah, I don't know. Mark says, I've been soaking it all in. Been here for just over a year and every day I listen and learn. Won't even take a trade for the rest of the day given we had a winner early. Keep it in the pocket. You got it. The only trade I may entertain is off of 543.95. I like that concept. That's a good strategy. Right. Puts them in a deep discount. They blow through one number, I'll pick up the second number. And here's the other thing, and this is for CW and everybody else. And you'll hear me say this from time to time. The reason I give you 2 or 3 numbers on almost everything is because I know in my heart, and I don't have the statistics, I've never tracked it like this, but I know in my heart that I'm not going to be wrong on 3 numbers in a row the way large majority of the time. It'll happen. Stuff blows through and market gets wild on a dime. All of a sudden it's a reversing or it's doing something. That's fine. I get that. I can spot it. But the amount of times that I'm going to be wrong 3 numbers in a row on a move, for example, let's just say this one's too far to consider this 3 numbers, but let's just say, and this isn't the case, but let's just say I had this number here. Okay. I'm not going to be wrong on these 3 numbers 95% of the time. 5 out of 100, it'll blow through. That's it. And that's just, I'm rounding numbers. I don't know the number, but I'm telling you that you've all seen this before. How many times am I going to be wrong 3? And sometimes we're in a trade and it'll be at a 3rd number and I'll say, this is it. This is make it or break it right here, right now. And they will work. But it was hell on wheels getting there and it was painful down there and I get all that. But when you know that and you believe me, which everybody doesn't have to just yet, or everybody doesn't have to, but if you believe me, then I'm not going to be wrong 3 times in a row most of the time. It's not going to happen. And it sounds a little cocky, but I've been doing this long enough to know that. Now you start to see why I give everything as a zone. I give you the first 2. Now I give you 2 numbers. And even at that, it's going to be different type of percentage that I'm wrong on 2 numbers versus 3. It's going to be even more unlikely I'm wrong 3 times in a row, but I'm not going to be wrong 2 times in a row often either. And you've all seen that. Sneer says the blue moon's twice a year. There you go. Yeah, once in a while I'm in a late trade. Once in a while, for some reason, whatever it was. And sometimes I'm riding something into the close. That happens. But I don't consider that a trade because I was already in it. I don't do a lot of that anymore because I would have to be in it from this morning because I'm rarely taking the trade at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I will. There are times when I'll just be in something and I'll ride it into the close. When they just drive it right up into the close, and you just ride it the whole way and you close the market out on close, or at 2 seconds left, you just close it out. I've done that many times. Yeah, of course, Joe. You trust the numbers, but you always have to have a parachute. You always have to have a ripcord and exit plan ready. Absolutely. When did I start doing this full time? In the 90s, Andre? The 1990s? I was not working for myself back then, but I was doing this since the 1990s. Doesn't matter whether I was working for myself, working for a prop firm, hedge fund, wirehouse, a big investment bank, which I've done all of those. When riding a position down, the top of the range to the bottom. All right, let's assume for the purposes of this question, we have a range, we've shorted the top, we're riding it down to a target, which in this case, we'll call it the bottom of the range, but having trouble taking base hit on my red position. I'm not sure I understand that. In other words, if you shorted a range and you shorted up here, or looking at the spiders, shorted up here and the bottom of the range is down here, you're not red. So I'm not sure I understand it, Art. When buying the falling knife, when riding a position down from the top of the range to the bottom, I have been having trouble taking the base hit on my red position. You shouldn't take a base hit on a red position. Is this an issue where I'm not adding to the position? Okay, maybe you're not buying the second number or the midpoint or at any point. If you're, okay, so let's say this is a trade. Tell me if I'm right. Let's say the trade is at 544.75. Market comes down, you buy 544.75 and it blows through and it's down here at 544.25. And you're not adding and it goes back up. I'm not sure I understand where you're. So in other words, you're not taking a profit until it gets profitable. Maybe that's the problem. Or you're not giving yourself, so you have to reverse engineer a trade. Look, if I say, and I say this all the time, so let's repeat it now. If you're willing to buy 544.75, but you're not willing to buy this and you don't even like the fact that it could ride down there and you'd be in the red all that way, then you have no business buying this. If you buy this, then you have to be willing to either take the ride down here and wait, or buy it again down here, or at least at the midpoint, if not both, and look for a snapback here, which lowers your cost basis. And then you get into a profitability standpoint before you even get to the first number. And a lot of times when you do that, it becomes a target. Maybe that helps, Art. I did the play it against Sam on the short out now at 5. Okay. Michael W., well done. $4,300 additional. You're just having a little bonanza for yourself over there. Well done. Can I get your NVIDIA number? That's my zone today. 122.25, 121.15. I don't know that they get there, but I can't do anything before that. It's not a falling knife, Art, by the way. It just looks like that to you. They're headed to a destination. The quicker they get there, the more likely they are headed to a destination. And if I have the destination, you're going to get a nice trade out of it. I know what you're saying, but I don't look at it as a falling knife. Don't forget, the best trades come from the most critical places. And a lot of times the most critical places they want to get to quick. What happened this morning? Case in point. What happened this morning on the upside? They got there quick. Important place. Break the chain up here. Guess what? They weren't breaking the chain so fast. Is there a spike up opportunity in CMG? Ed wants to know. That's not CMG. That's not either. Maybe. Hold on. Hold on. See if I have a number down there. I might. Hold on. It might be a little wide at this point today, but that would be the spike the low and rip it back number. And if they spike that number, that's the next number. So there, we're right back to, I'm giving you two numbers today in CMG. If they hit the first and they continue down, it's unlikely I'm going to be wrong twice in a row with these two numbers. And I'll just tell you that it's going to be 8 or 8.5 out of 10 times that this is going to work and be right. And that's just the way it works. and 62.55 down to 61.80 creates a zone, and the spike the low and rip it back, first number is 62.55, give or take, you know, a few cents on either side. So there you go, Ed. How does Trox look for you on a swing trade long? Trox, why does that sound familiar? What's Trox? That's not it. Don't know why I've seen this before. Sure, we had a trade in here somewhere. Hold on. Oh yeah. Let me get another one. Get the next one. This is too far away for a day trade, but that's the next number. Let me see if I have one more in between. I might. I suspected. Midpoint, and it's 15 bucks. Just leave it at 15.03. It's 15 bucks. That's not a midpoint, but those are three numbers. Those are all three numbers for three different reasons, which creates a pretty darn good zone. Tell you what, that's not really a swing trade level. The swing trade would have to be down closer to 14.25. That's just my opinion. But this should bounce the tape, and it could be a swing level, but I like lower for a swing. And I'll tell you why. See this monthly chart? This is a reversal candle, and it's not going to fix itself by the end of the month. So this is reversing, and therefore it's telling you that they're going lower, and I'm 14 bucks. I think I'd be all over this for a swing. I may be. Look into it a little deeper. Just my 2 cents on Trox. All right. Notwithstanding that this is support and all that, but I would want to wait for a swing at 14, 14.25, 14. Armand, let's see, Lamb, one more time. I never can get those symbols right. I still didn't do it. LRCX, dyslexic. Okay, let's start there. All right, what do we got? We got nothing. 1100. And we're back to 1185. They got to a high today. The breakdown candle high is 1192 and change, something up there. 1193.39. It's just there's overhead resistance in there, but if they get above, which probably not today, I don't know where they're going. 1150 is the next place. 1250. It's hard to say. It's just in an uptrend. I don't have a good answer on this one. I just don't. Support, on the other hand, they're getting close. Intraday, 1050. 1050 support. Just 1051 for argument's sake, but 1050, 1051 on $1,050 stock. Splitting hairs is like pennies. $1 is like pennies. And then if they ever get below this low, and they did that today, I have it on my other chart. That's the next place. Yeah, CW, what happens is you have to reverse engineer the trade. So you have to say, all right, look, there's three numbers. Here's where they are. This beforehand, because I've already given it to you beforehand. So you say, look, if I take whatever size position, am I going to be able to withstand, for me, the pain of being at that third number? And if not, then you have to trim your share size, and you take a third of a position or half a position or whatever the case is at the first number, and you have to reverse engineer the risk for yourself. So I hear what you're saying about averaging down and big losses and all that. You have to first believe that what I'm doing here, what we're doing here works in order to get over that. And so that's just your own hurdle you have to get over. But if you manage your risk and you reverse engineer the trade, then worst case is you're taking a normal loss, not a huge loss, because you've already prepared that you might have to add 2 times to the trade. It may have to be the lower portion of a zone. I never know if they're going to bounce it at the first number, second number. I don't know that. I'm giving you the zone. There's your 545. Remember, we talked about that before. So again, this is still a zone. 544.75 to 543.95 is a zone. They're going to give you a scalp in there. So they bounced it at the 545. Doesn't mean they won't get to the number, but we talked about that before when I said could be 545, but the number is 544.75. Remember, I looked at this and I said they could bounce it right here, and they did. But the number is 544.75. Any supports for Meta and Tesla? I'm going to wrap things up here in a few minutes. I'm just trying to wait to see if they get to this number. Meta, no. Tesla, down here from yesterday, 192.35. It's the only thing I have in Tesla. You want shirts, Art? Shirts and hats? Yeah, I would like that, but I I can't manage all that. Nobody would know what that means. Is there a specific distance, like $1 in the SPY below the third number that you provide use for? No, Alex, the way it works is I will tell you if they start closing candles getting below this particular number, it starts with a 5-minute candle and so on. I'll tell you then the trade is wrong. Or here's where they're going if they do that. And that's what we do. And we do it in real time. And I'll do it ahead of time. I'll tell you what it is. Like right now, if they start closing candles below 543.95, it's a different tape. I said that an hour and a half ago. And it will open the door for 542.30. Not necessarily all at once, but the door will start to become ajar. But they should bounce it in here first anyway. And that's just the way it works. Correct, Mark. Yeah, and Mark brings up a good point. I'm just going to paraphrase it. It takes time. This is for CW and anybody else. It takes time, or Art, it takes time to trust the process, trust the numbers, trust what I'm doing. And you won't trust it until you see the profitability for yourself. The only way to see the profitability for yourself is to actually do it. Doing it in a demo account doesn't do it. You have to have stake in the game. How do you do that? Do it small. Do it with micro futures that have 10 to 1 to the ES. Do it with a few shares of the spiders or one of the exchange traded products. Just do it with a small share size. Just so you have a stake in the game, but you're never going to get killed no matter what happens. You're going to use it as a learning experience, but if you have a stake in the game, you have all the emotions that you need to make it happen. Okay? All right, they're at the place. I know I missed some, the thing scrolled away from me. I missed some questions and I'm about to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I just want to see if they'll bounce off here first. DraftKings 3617 is my next number after this. I'm trying to backtrack here to clean up some stuff I missed. ZW hit the trend line. Let's take a look. Almost. I don't know if it's on exactly to the number or not. I don't remember, but it's close enough. Yeah, the concept was they're always going to, by the way, there's a trend. They did bounce a little bit, but they're back to the number. Let's see. Qs. You could see this is already acting as at least initial support, as no surprise. The Qs have to get down to 479, 479 and a quarter. They could do that. No, it doesn't work like that. Whoever wrote that on trucks. Mark. Again, the thing scrolled away from me. No, it doesn't work like that. Don't ever watch that stuff. That's all I could say. The analysts, they don't know anything. Oh, great job, Kenny W. Phew, it's fantastic. 1150 on the day for Jerome K. Well done. All right, folks, you see they're finding support. This was the place we were looking for. They're at the zone. You take a base hit, and you hold the trailer. There's plenty of time left on the clock. You got no worries there. If they come down a little more, it's in the zone. That's it. All right, be right back, and then we're going to wrap it up. Give me 1 minute. There it is. Nice trade. Now we're going to wrap it up. They gave some base hit-ish already. 4 points, 4.5, whatever. They're going to give it to you. For the most part, I'm just going to call it a base hit. It's on the cusp. They're giving it to you. That was the thing. We waited all morning for that number. They finally came into it. It's 1140. I'm fried, and I'm going to wrap it up here. Okay? So we got a short, we got a long, double barrel trade. Well done. Don't do stupid stuff this afternoon. Let's see if there's any last minute things I got to address here. Lost audio. Okay. 60 off the bounce. Great job, Joe. Another great day. Yep. I'm reading these. That's fantastic. All right. A lot of you got that. All right. And there's your 479.60 in the Qs. All right. So the market's doing what it's supposed to do. We'll just leave it at that. I'll see you in the video tonight. Don't do stupid stuff this afternoon. And we'll be back tomorrow in uniform, ready to go. Appreciate everybody very much. I think it was a really productive morning. We talked about a lot of different things. We got a couple of trades. This is a good day. All right, this is what you signed up for. All right, fantastic. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Back tomorrow in uniform, ready to go. Appreciate everybody very much. Take care, folks.